Degrassi, the series that raised Gen X. Grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's go back. Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Gen X Unfiltered, the podcast.
What's up, everybody?
Hello, hello.
Welcome back.
Yes.
Good to see y'all.
Welcome back. It's weird. We film sometimes these like in multiples, so you say welcome back. It's like they just saw us.
Yeah, it
Or
always
heard
feels
us,
weird.
but they didn't. It was a week ago.
It was a whole week.
That's right.
Hello.
It's
So
good
much
to
has
see y'all again.
happened.
Thanks for hanging out with us again. Another fun
Yes.
podcast on the way, hopefully.
Today we're talking about the Canadian teen franchise from the 80s, even I think late 70s maybe it started, but the 80s and 90s, and it's even was still going up until the 2000s.
That's right. There's been a few iterations of this bad boy.
Yeah.
But Degrassi.
Whoa, Degrassi.
Degrassi, the classic.
Degrassi.
Classic.
Junior High, like the
Well,
Kids of
there's all of
Degrassi,
them,
the
yeah.
next generation. There's a whole bunch of these
That's
things.
right.
Yeah.
So it is obviously a Canadian series, but it hits some like cult classic in like the States and stuff, I feel like.
Oh, 100%. I think it over time it grew. It was super popular. I think up here when it aired. But yes,
Yes.
it definitely over the years has gained sort of a because it is very typically Canadian and
It's
very cheesy.
So Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
But it also it was pretty groundbreaking for its time, which is
It's saying something.
It's easy to forget that.
All right, so let's just really quickly, for a lot of people, I'm assuming probably don't know what Degrassi is, maybe. I don't know. If you're Canadian and you're listening, shout out Canada, because I guarantee you've heard of it, seen it, watched it.
I would
think
think
so.
so. It was pretty big.
All right, so Degrassi is a Canadian teen drama television franchise created by Kit Hood and Linda Schuler. 5 main installments of the franchise between 1979 and 2017.
Oh my God.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a long.
The franchise follows the lives of young people in Toronto, or youths, I guess. Oh, that's a funny word. We're reading from Wikipedia. So, with the titular?
Titular?
Titular.
What does that word mean? Titular?
Titular, yeah.
Junior high and or high school as the central setting. Since 1987, each entry has taken place in the same fictional universe. Wikipedia, you're using like weird words to explain what you're trying to say.
That made sense.
It
Yeah.
did, but like universe, like anyway.
Yeah, like the Degrassi universe. That's interesting because it said it's in 87 is when
Yes.
the universe that we know really kind of formed.
Yes.
For Degrassi anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was, you sort of mentioned it there, but the Kids of Degrassi Street started out like really, like what did it say, like 79, I think?
Yeah, so the first entry, The Kids of Degrassi Street, went from 1979 to 1986, and it focuses on the lives of children living in the namesake Toronto street, but is unrelated to all the other entries. So that's an interesting point. I never watched The Kids of Degrassi, but I know from reading stuff and hearing stuff and seeing stuff that that initial installment of the franchise, the characters that were in there, a lot of the same actors went on to the other
Some
ones,
of
but
them
they
were,
were different
Well,
characters.
I don't remember watching. I remember a few times in school we watched it. I remember that
Okay.
like Caitlin
Yes.
from Degrassi was like, her name was like Cookie,
Yes.
and she was probably like 6
Oh,
or
Yeah.
7. Like they were
Jesus.
like
Yeah,
really
little
good.
kids,
Super little,
yeah.
yeah.
And there was a couple other ones in there as well, but they were all like they were like really little, yeah.
But that was sort of like a separate, it didn't carry on to the others. Whereas all the other series that we'll talk about all had characters that kind of flowed through.
Yeah.
It was
or-
continuous.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think based off of these shows is what led to the Degrassi Junior High
Yes.
show
Yeah.
being started. It
Yeah.
was like, hey, these are really good. Let's do more.
So
Yeah.
Degrassi Jr High, 1987 to 1989. I didn't realize it was so short.
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, it's
Because I
weird.
remember watching Degrassi Junior High, but it seemed like it was on longer.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the sequel, Degrassi High, 1989 to 1991, marked the beginning of a universe continued by future incarnations and followed the lives of those attending the fictional school. So, starting in Degrassi Junior High, not all the characters, but like the main characters carried through to high school and even into the newer ones that came out in the 2000s. Some of those characters are now parent. Like it all
that
carried
was sort
on.
of how that
Yeah.
the
Next
the next
Generation?
generation was like the kids of some of the Degrassi characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
So the two shows drew critical acclaim and numerous accolades for their unprecedented approach to adolescent life and social issues, and their success established the franchise as a Canadian cultural touchstone. Degrassi's original run officially ended with the controversial television film finale School's Out in 1992, which received a mixed reception from fans and critics alike and also featured the first use of the word, I allowed to say it?
Yep.
Fuck. In quotes. It's in quotes.
Earmuffs.
Wikipedia
That's
says it. On Canadian television.
That was a
Whoa.
big deal. I remember watching that when it
It was groundbreaking.
Whoa.
Yeah, this was then followed by a short-lived documentary series, Degrassi Talks, in 1992, in which actors from the series interviewed teens and young adults nationwide about topics the show had dealt with.
That's right. I remember Degrassi Talks. It was more like a.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So just continuing with the brief history before we dive into this stuff.
Can we pause up for a second? I can't believe they said fuck on the CBC.
Okay, we're going to talk about that. I'm just doing the overall history.
Sorry. I got really stuck on that.
Remember, there's a lot
I
of...
also wanted to say the F word on our podcast.
Right? There's also a lot of people out there who are like, what is Degrassi?
Yeah.
I don't know. So most, whatever.
Hopefully, if they're watching this, yes, they know what it is. But anyway, carry on. Yeah.
So throughout the 1990s, Degrassi maintained a cult following through reruns and syndication, and a successful televised cast reunion in 1999 helped spark the franchise's revival with Degrassi: The Next Generation, which ran from 2001 to 2015. So it had a big
Wow,
run.
that was way
Oh my
longer.
God.
The original Degrassi, I think, was like, what, 4 years, these
Yeah.
kind of said?
That's crazy.
And it originally aired on CTV in Canada and the N, don't know what that is, in the United States.
Not sure what that is.
I wonder if that was like a Nickelodeon type thing or something, maybe?
I'm not
So-
sure.
But I've never heard of it, yeah.
So Degrassi: The Next Generation actually, okay, the 80s Degrassi didn't really spark any crazy acting careers for any of those people. Like they weren't like crazy, not well-known people.
No,
now.
up
No.
in Canada, they did
Right.
some of them did some stuff.
But
yeah, not
Degrassi:
much.
the Next Generation is very well known. We'll talk about it really briefly too. But a lot of big names came out of Degrassi: The Next Generation, including
I can think of one specifically.
the one and only
Drake.
Drake.
So I didn't know if you were going to say what you
Oh,
I went like
I thought you were going to say Usher.
I went like that. I was
No,
that was
Drake.
the,
Yeah, yeah.
the segue.
Yeah, no, Aubrey
Yeah.
Graham, Drake.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know.
Also, though, Nina Dobrev.
Yep.
I don't
Yeah.
remember her
I
name.
know that name.
Also, as well, I mean, she was on the reboot of 90210, but Shania Grimes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
on it
that's
as
right.
well.
I remember
That's
her.
right. She was on when they redid 90210. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, Degrassi: Next Generation was on for a long time, and that kind of was sort of, and they did have carryover characters, like notably, we'll go back and talk about it, notably like Spike, her daughter was the main central character, and her daughter's the one that she had back in the original one when she was a teen mom.
Emma.
So
That's right.
it kind of all carries forward.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it says Degrassi is regarded as one of Canada's greatest television achievements, is one of the most successful media franchises in Canadian history, receiving numerous awards and honors over its time span. That's pretty big because,
Well, like I said, I mean, you watch it now and it's, it looks pretty cheesy. It's
It's
from
dated.
the 80s. And
So-
It's a
looks
lot
like
of
it.
bad acting. And,
yeah, well, here's why I think it was like, so it says here, so each entry for the awards received a widespread critical acclaim for its approach to controversial topics and age-appropriate casting. The franchise has courted controversy on several occasions for episodes depicting teenage pregnancy, abortion, and LGBT issues, with episodes from nearly every entry facing some form of editing or censorship outside of Canada.
Yeah,
So that was an interesting. Here in Canada, we saw it all.
that's right. Yeah.
It-
no,
was just-
nothing edited. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just that. But I know in other, like in the States, I've heard that certain episodes weren't aired.
I was reading that before when I was looking up some stuff about Degrassi. Yeah, like the whole where Spike was looking at getting an abortion.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
cut it. They cut out scenes in the U.S. and I think it was the BBC in the U.K. They actually just didn't even air them.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
the whole thing was just ignored.
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
Now-
and like another episode later on in the season, or even references that, and that one they pulled too.
So now that we kind of did the overall history of the whole franchise, I mean, other than the very first, The Kids of Degrassi, which I did not watch at all. I've never seen
Well, that
it,
was
never
like-
watched it.
Yeah.
Like I said, 79. Like
We were babies.
we were,
Let's just start quickly with Eric. What was your exposure to Degrassi?
My exposure?
Like, did you watch it?
Oh, yeah. Like, I remember watching Junior High specifically when I
Yeah.
was a little guy. And it was on the CBC, so I think, like, my mom thought it was, like,
Yeah.
educational,
That,
more or
I
less.
think, yeah.
What
Yeah.
about you, Steve?
Oh yeah, I definitely watched. I watched Degrassi, Junior High. I watched, like I said, Kids of Degrassi. I remember in like public school we watched episodes, but I don't remember being on TV at all. But definitely watched both Degrassi High, Degrassi Junior High. I remember watching Schools Out I remember watching it like when it
When it was
premiered.
premiered?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
So I like the same Degrassi Junior High, Degrassi High, School's Out, and Degrassi: The Next Generation. I was that nerd. I wanted to see. So they're very smart. When it launched in, what did I say, 2001 or something like that, it came out. They very much brought back a lot of the old characters from the Degrassi High, the main characters.
No,
and put them into the first episode because it was like a reunion episode, which was super smart because that's what I watched. I'm like, Snake's there, Joey's there, Caitlin's there.
That's how you do it. You get the old cast to launch the new cast.
And let's be real, a lot of them probably weren't that busy.
No, not a lot of them. Didn't have massive careers after that, or they did like sort of after him, and then the kind of over the decade in between it kind of petered out. But because who was on there? Like Joey was there as the dad, and
Snake was the principal. Spike was the mom of Emma.
I think it was just the three of them.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
But it was like Degrassi and stuff. Like it was like crazy. I remember watching a show or something at some point in time, like when Degrassi High was on in June. I'd say High probably when they were teenagers. It was huge in Canada. Like they would do like tours. So it was very low budget. Nothing wrong with that, but it was which I think made the appeal of it. It was more relatable. It was real. It wasn't crazy. And like they would talk about how like, when it became really popular, like on their set, because they filmed at an actual school. It wasn't really a set school.
It was actual like a school in
building.
Toronto.
And like fans just started coming and they were all like, what? Like, so, and also too, like it was a huge cast.
Oh yeah, and I think the cast was like age appropriate. Like,
well, that was one of the biggest things too. It wasn't like we were sort of like because I know men like
90210 and these like American
where they hire like
shows.
20-year-olds to play like 15-year-olds and stuff or whatever. Whereas these kids were their age.
Yeah,
the actors grew with the show. So like it wasn't like, oh, Joey's in grade 9 and we're gonna do 3 seasons of him in grade 9 and he continues to age in real life. No, it was like actually the age they were was the age they were on the show.
Which is, I think that's where it transitioned from junior high to high was because these kids were like
they're 14
11,
now.
12, 13 and that's going into their teenagers.
And that's why it only lasted for so long because like they didn't do it college years because I mean, in the early 90s and 80s, like not a lot of people went to college like now.
Yeah, well, and these shows when they hit the college years, that was good on the tubes.
Well,
like, Saved by the Bell college years, come on.
Exactly. It's kind of like, hey, this thing's kind of running its course naturally. Let's just let it go. One
of the, I guess, critical acclaim it got that I briefly mentioned was the fact that we haven't even like dove into this, but the fact that they did talk about very like big issues that most times, even nowadays, it's like, no, you can't watch that on TV, like whatever. Kind of what Eric said, like it was on the CBC. Like my mom wouldn't let me watch Dirty Dancing as a kid because she's like, ooh, that's so evil and scary. But I'd be like, yeah, sure, go watch Degrassi. And like, let's just list off some of the topics that Degrassi talked about.
A lot,
they talked about eating disorders. They talked about, date rape. They talked about domestic abuse between like dating couples. They talked about suicide. I mean,
teen pregnancy.
Yeah.
AIDS. Yeah.
I mean, there was drug use.
Alcoholism, bullying.
Like gay teenagers that were gay.
Yeah.
I mean,
it talked about like every sort of big topic,
and they didn't shy. Like they talked about it.
They didn't beat around the topic.
No, like it was, I mean,
it wasn't like insinuation.
No, and it also wasn't like a Full House type of thing where it was like, oh shucks, it's okay, don't worry. Like they didn't try and like make it all like nice and happy. Like it was, stuff that kids were going through. Like I didn't know. Sorry, but like, like in high school, there was girls that were pregnant in my school.
Yeah.
I remember like, there's all
drug use and stuff,
drugs, alcohol, suicide.
It made the show a lot more relatable.
So all that stuff was happening. So,
starting at the junior high, one of the biggest storylines was the fact that Spike in grade 8, she got pregnant. She had sex with her boyfriend for the first time and got pregnant.
Yeah.
And there was multiple episodes of her like struggling with the decision to have the baby, for adoption, have an abortion, and it was the relationship with her mom, like her hiding it from her mom and her mom finding out, and then that whole like dynamic. And she came from a single mom, and it was a huge part.
And it was and it showed everything because it showed her. I don't know if they were her boyfriend, the dad, who was also like a 13-year-old kid,
and that family was very strict Catholic.
How to deal with this.
And, like, I want this, I don't want this. That's, like, it was, no, they didn't sugarcoat it. And it wasn't, the one thing with that show from, I remember it was never kind of like, it didn't tell you what to do. It wasn't like,
No.
it just kind of showed you like, here's this reality of the situation.
Well,
Yeah.
like I said, she
It
was
wasn't kind of like, you should do this or not do that. Or,
Yeah.
you know, it didn't sort of tell you what to do. It was just kind
No.
of like, we're going to talk about these topics and
Yeah.
maybe you'll have a discussion with your folks about it or,
Well,
you
and
know.
a lot of times before the episode, they'd have the actors come on and say, you know, this episode, if you're struggling with this,
Mm-hmm.
call this number. But I think one of the biggest things was is in that storyline, it showed her going through all of her options, which is like
Yeah.
refreshing, especially back in the 80s.
No, it wasn't just like you're going to do this and then
Yeah.
whatever that, and then it was over and done
Yeah.
with. I mean, because clearly, like we said, you know, it spun off where she obviously had a baby, and you know, then throughout this series, she's
Struggling
going to school,
be
raising a kid, and
Yeah.
then it turned into the sort of the nexus of the next generation spinoff.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, it was definitely a big topic. I mean, and then they dealt like there's just every single possible thing. I think they had like some sort of storyline for it.
Yeah.
Oh
definitely.
yeah, and especially like back in the '80s, where this stuff wasn't like talked about at all. Like,
No.
you know,
Some stuff was new, like the AIDS,
AIDS
crisis.
was,
Like that was like a brand new in the 80s.
yeah, that was kind of like this thing that just was like, whoa, what's
Yeah.
going on? And no one really knew anything about it or what it was, and there was
No.
so much stigma around it too because of, you know, who, you know, how you get it or not get it. It was,
Yeah.
you know, people didn't know anything, so everyone was just afraid of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So no one just wanted to talk about it.
Exactly. That which is the worst thing to do.
Well, especially for kids, where kids are, you know, like especially like kids are going to have sex if they want to or whatever. So it's like give them the information to.
Yeah, to make
Well,
the
there-
best choices.
Yeah.
There was even a whole episode about having condoms in their school bathroom. Like everything they talked about. And so the Degrassi Junior High was very much focused in the school. I mean, you saw some of their home life, and there was
Yeah.
one who had an alcoholic mother, and like
That's
you know,
right. I
it was
remember
just
that one. Yeah.
there's so much stuff, and even now, and again, we've talked about this, but it was super low budget, terrible acting, which I think made it more real.
It
Well,
did.
they were kids, yeah.
Yeah.
Like none of them were professional. I don't think any of them were like professional actors at all. I'm
No.
not sure how they all got into.
No, I mean, I think they
Into
were
it,
all
but-
obviously trying to look to be actors,
Yeah.
but I mean, they were unknown. Nobody knew who any of these people are.
No, and that's the thing too. The show was, I mean, for the time, but it wasn't like super polished
No,
in
no,
terms of the
no.
way it was presented and stuff like that too. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it wasn't like.
Like even like their wardrobe,
Yeah.
like you could tell it was literally probably clothes that half of them had in their closet.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they weren't all super styled and stylish and wearing
No.
like, you know, it was very relatable watching it.
Yeah.
Like it was like, yeah, these look like kids that
Yeah.
look like us, act like
Yeah.
us, go to school like us. Like it
Their
was
school didn't look fancy. It looked like a normal, like, you know, kind
just a
of
regular old.
aged school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Everything was just really relatable.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, the Degrassi Junior High was definitely I don't know, controversial is not the word because but it's so funny like that
And it was that thing. It was controversial. Like it
Yeah.
was like big time.
But like again, it's so funny. Like our parents just freely were like, "Yeah, go watch that."
Yeah, it's on the CBC. Go ahead and watch it.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Which I don't think. Like I think the kids should have watched it. I'm
No,
not
no,
saying
I
Yeah.
think it's great. They probably should still watch it. I don't really pay attention to like the tween shows now, but you need stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it's not, you know, you need to have kids see these things. You know, to shelter kids and hide it from them is the
Yeah.
worst thing to do.
If anybody doesn't know, the CBC is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.
That's
It's
right.
the
It's
government-funded
Yes.
television in Canada.
Yeah, it's like our BBC or
Yeah.
like PBS, I guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe not PBS, but similar to that.
I mean, yeah. Other than Degrassi, I can't think of any other good shows they have.
Kids in the Hall was on
Danger
CBC.
Bay.
Okay, whoa, okay. Anyway, we'll go back. Then they transitioned into high school. I loved the high school ones again because, like, you know, they're a bit older. They can, like, you know, get into more mischief.
Well, that's where
And-
it gets into more.
For serious topics.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, most of the serious topics came when they were in high school. I mean, they did have it in the junior high, obviously, but most of the big topics. And I think really quickly I mentioned, but just to sort of re-mention it, there wasn't one actor or character that was like,
The Breakout Star?
not the breakout star, but like the leading character.
Oh, I
it was
see.
an ensemble cast. They
Yeah,
did have
yeah.
like, I would say maybe 10 sort of regulars that were in a lot of
there was a
episodes.
few of them. It was like Joey, Caitlin,
It felt like
Wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt like a little bit tiered. It was ensemble, but it felt like there's kind of tiers to it. Like I think Joey was in like the top tier.
Well, I think he grew. If you watch from the beginning of Junior High, he wasn't in it a lot because it was very much spread out. Where there'd be one episode about like one person, and then they'd be in the background.
Yeah.
But obviously, yes, after that first series, he kind of grew in popularity because he was like quirky and funny.
Well, you kind of had more.
He was
of that,
kind of a class clown.
You had that kind of continuing storyline of like him and Caitlin like dating and sort of was like they were kind of like the. Like for Saved by the Bell, like the Zach and Kelly.
Yeah.
Also mentioned, I know we're kind of going all over the place, but also mentioned in Degrassi Junior High, was it Junior High when that happened to Will's parents?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a storyline of Will's where he lost both his parents to a drunk driver.
Yeah.
Like crazy. And that was a huge part of the storyline. It carried through high school because he was obviously had, PTSD from that and was a lot of issues, and he ended up kind of being a burnout and whatever, yada yada yada. But yeah, that was a huge
we can get into it after.
Well,
but
it carries on even into the movie. Yeah. So then high school, it was way more of an ensemble cast because they included some older high school kids. Mm-hmm. So Degrassi Junior High, I forgot, there was a group of kids that were in grade 7 and a group of kids in grade 8. And I remember, do you remember how they made them all go to high school at the same time?
Yeah, the school burned down.
The school burned down.
That's right. Man. They were at a school dance, and I remember the guy and the girl were playing like hide and seek or tag.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they ran into like the boiler room, and it was on fire.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that's how they got the grades, because Caitlin was in grade 7 and all her friends, and then Joey and all his friends. That's how they all had them go to the same high school at the same time.
That makes sense.
Smart.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot, but that's I remember that the school burnt down. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, then there was the high school dealing with like the Gummer Day.
Oh, I remember.
We had the whole Gummer Day.
Oh my God.
No, we had Gummer Day in my high school.
We called it initiation day, but same thing.
Yeah, we called it Gummer Day. It was. I remember we all went out.
Yeah.
In to this football field, and we all had to lay down, and then all the they always see class came out with like shaving cream and ketchup and mustard and all that stuff, and they just covered us in it.
We had a grade 9 auction where basically people would, for charity would buy the grade 9s, and then whoever bought you could, basically do whatever they wanted within reason.
Okay,
to torture you for the day.
No, that's just inviting so many problems, and it's just so fundamentally wrong.
They stopped doing it after my year.
We had so we had like a Gummer Day where during the day there was nothing supposed to happen anyway, but you hear all these stories about people getting dragged in the bathrooms and whatever. But it was like an actual, like I said, we went out to the football field. Yeah, all the grade 9s. They do a class at a time. You just lie there, and they would just come and just cover you in crap. And
the one game I remember people doing was it was the push an Oreo down a hallway on its side with your nose. Like you couldn't use your hands, and if the Oreo fell over, you had to like spit on it and then put it back up again and keep rolling it. At the end of at the end of the hall, you had to like eat it.
I don't like any of that stuff. I actually am getting really angry hearing about the crap that used to be. Like that is like epitome of bullying. Like it's terrible.
Oh yeah.
I don't like it.
Were you able to, because when I was in...
No, our grade 9 was like an organized like grade 9 day where they had like, you would like throw whipped cream and stuff, but it was organized and
ours
teachers
was
were
like
there.
that too. Ours was organized.
No, but it was bullshit. People were chasing it. I literally can't talk about it.
Is this the CBC? They're swearing now.
I remember and I remember walking, because you had to walk home all covered in crap. I remember like cars driving by like with students like throwing eggs at us and stuff like that.
It's terrible. Like it's so awful.
Did you guys, but did you get to do it?
No.
Because I'm saying like my year's the last year, so I never got to.
No, see, we did. I got to do it.
I would never do it.
See, I got to do it.
No, I would never do it.
No,
That's
it's
terrible.
See, but it's like a shared experience.
Well, you know how traumatic grade 9 is all on its own? No way. Ugh.
It's pretty traumatic, yeah.
I don't
it's definitely scary, because when you're grade 9, like, I was skinny, I barely hit puberty, so I was, skinny and small.
But
and then you see like these like 18-year-old guys walking with like mustaches and stuff like that.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Are we talking about our Gummer Day, or are we talking about Degrassi?
We went off on a tangent.
It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just kidding. No, Gummer Day is terrible, and it actually makes me really angry. Like, I want to like just say a whole bunch of bad words, but I'm not going to.
Well, I think Gummer Day is mostly done for most schools now.
But it's terrible. It's like
it's
bullying.
Probably done now.
Yeah.
No, it's done. But I'm saying it should never have been a thing. Ugh. Okay, so one of the cool things about all this big series was they did a really good job. So even here on Wikipedia, it says, to give the series a harder-edged feel, several older characters were introduced, which we talked about.
Dwayne.
Reflecting the growing independence of the aging characters, Degrassi High began to give more focus on the characters' lives outside of school, with scenes taking place at nighttime, on the street, or at the character's job.
Yeah, that's right. I remember someone working at like Shoppers Drug Mart or something like that.
Oh my God, how Canadian is that?
At the time watching it, you don't realize it, but thinking back, it's like that's just genius because they really just made you as a kid watching it feel like you were them.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean.
No,
like everyday
it was
teenager.
completely relatable. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the word, is relatable for the show.
And the stuff they were going through, whether you personally were going through, not necessarily everything, but you could relate to a lot of it, or you knew people that were going through the same kind of thing. So yeah, it was a completely relatable show. And like you said, they look like you, they talk like us.
I think also one of the reasons why the series was so good is that they didn't drag it out. Like even I was just thinking that, and then even here it says, combined with creative exhaustion, it was decided to end.
You said exhaustion.
It was decided to end Degrassi High after its second season, and filming wrapped in October 1990. Like, they very well could have kept going.
Well, they easily could. I mean, it's a school, so right, you just introduce it. Hey, here's a new student or whatever.
Exactly.
You could have
Schuler
kept pushing it if you wanted. But
Schuler said that she wanted to end the series while we were still feeling good about what we were doing.
That makes sense. Go on the high.
Well, that's the best way to do it, yeah.
Another thing she said, most of the cast were occupied with post-secondary education, and she felt that the show had already tackled what they had aimed to. So in real life, the kids were going to school.
Yeah, exactly. They were, going to universities or whatever because, they're kids.
So one of the biggest topics, or a few of the biggest topics in Degrassi High that came up was suicide. There was a character that, committed suicide, and also HIV was a big storyline in there because one of the characters was HIV positive. And it was also just interesting. Like, again, it's not just like this character was HIV positive. You found out why.
Well,
And it wasn't like you expect this big crazy story. It was like he literally met someone at summer camp, had sex with her for the one time.
Well, and not even that, but like the stereotype back in the 80s was this was a AIDS was a homosexual gay disease.
Well, that was the episode.
So
remember?
that's what I'm saying. But so to have the tough guy bully,
it was the tough guy,
straight guy getting just to say like this, it's kind of being like, look, it can affect anybody.
Exactly. This isn't just affecting one community.
Yeah. Whereas that was back in the 80s when it first kind of came out. That was definitely the stereotype, was that it was it was only for the gays and homosexual community was the only people that it was affecting, which was completely fake.
Well, yeah, that was the whole episode. Is like Steve said, it was the bully who had been bullying Joey all through high school, and he didn't want anybody to know because he was afraid that they would all call him gay and all. No, that's right.
And then there was, I remember that was, I still remember that episode because he was picking on Joey in the bathroom or something. They got into a fight and Joey punched him in the face, and the other guy started bleeding. He's like, "Don't touch me."
Oh, weird, yeah.
And then he said it, and then
this is like, why,
yeah. And but he was like, "Oh." The bully was like, "Oh shit, my secret's out to the one kid I probably don't want to know this." And
exactly.
So it was really I mean, it was some pretty heavy stuff they were talking about, like for a kid show, like.
Oh yeah.
Well, the Degrassi High also had a very significant abortion storyline. Very significant one that carried over through numerous episodes. And then even later on, I mean, she did end up having the abortion, but later on it came back. It would still come back where like, she was being, harassed for it, and like all this got out, and like,
Yeah. Well, I remember they showed like her going to the clinic, and like you've seen there's people, I'm pretty sure there's protesters in one episode, and like seeing the posters and all the stuff. Like they didn't
they didn't hide anything.
They didn't try and sugarcoat it and make it seem like it was
no.
They sort of showed it's like all these options are big decisions, and there's
consequences.
And there's lots of things to go through and think about and whatever. So they really did a good job of sort of showing all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and again, like it's just crazy. Our parents were just, and I'm glad, but like they're just like, go watch it. Maybe they were just like, no, we don't have to talk about these topics.
Well, that's the thing too. I think that's a lot of it was just like a lot of the show was to raise discussion. It wasn't like the show wasn't trying to tell you to do this or do that. Obviously, it was trying to show you some of the dangers of like drugs and alcohol and things like that. But it's just trying to show you, because even like with Caitlin and having her baby, spoiler, she has the kid, obviously.
That wasn't Caitlin, it was Spike.
Or Spike, sorry. But like even throughout the later show, like they show her trying to have a job with like a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And seeing the struggles that she's going through there and stuff like that. Like,
so
it
they
wasn't
don't sugarcoat it.
No, it wasn't like I have a baby.
Everything's
my
perfect.
life is perfect. And,
Yeah, this is
they
awesome.
show you a lot of the
struggle,
real life stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I do suggest that if anybody out there listening has never seen it, like just watch it, because I am the biggest critic of like crappy, like bad acting. Like I have no patience for it. I'm just super snooty that way. But this, like, there's something just like, what's the word I'm looking for? Innocent about it.
Well, that's
like
because it's not bad acting. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not
It's
like
low production quality.
it's low production, but it's not like watching like The Room.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Like,
Awesome movie, by the way. I
check
highly
out The Room.
recommend
If
it.
you want to see, it's everything you should never do in a film. They do. It's
I think it
but
just,
it's
I mean,
just-
more like the script writers weren't like these crazy, like it was just so like regular
Oh, and that's what I'm just saying.
14-year-olds
It was
having
just,
a conversation.
It just seemed very like real.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't like it was bad acting where you
No.
watch and it's like, oh, this seems fake.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
just.
yeah.
And they all have
You
like heavy Toronto Canadian accents.
Oh,
Well, that's the
gosh.
thing too. Like, I mean, it's very
It's
Canadian.
very Canadian. Like, yeah,
the
you could
style
like
and-
hear Scarborough when they're talking.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
like the streets, when they film on the streets, like, you know, the street signs, it's like, oh, I've heard of that place, or I know that place, or, you know, the school that they shot, it's like in what
It's
part
like-
of Toronto?
It's like down,
Danforth?
just Danforth. Nah, yeah, somewhere down. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Bloor, Danforth. No,
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure exactly where it was. Liberty
But-
Village, maybe.
Yeah. Also the high school, well, it might have started in junior high, but high school kind of popped off. But we can't forget about the Zit Remedy.
Oh, I was waiting for you to bring up Zit Remedy.
That's
I'm like,
right. They're a big band.
yeah,
Dude, everybody,
the big high school band.
we're gonna do it. We gotta sing the chorus
Oh,
or
God.
something, because Eric sang, because you know it. But this is like, oh, Zit Remedy. It was Snake, Wheels, and Joey, and it went
That's right.
through tumultuous times. Like people got kicked out, people came in, but
Well, it was always sort of again, one of those just recurring storylines was that they had this band that, they wanted to just make it big. And
Yeah.
they shot a video in one
they
episode.
did, because Lucy.
No drums though, right?
No, it was like
No.
a keyboard,
Keyboard.
a bass guitar, and
'Cause
guitar.
Yeah.
Lucy was rich and had a camcorder, and so he convinced
That
her
was
to
it.
shoot the video.
Because is
Yeah.
that the same one? Remember they made the one episode they made a horror movie? It Creeps.
Another one.
Apparently, I was reading in this article, like they actually censored out It Creeps because it was supposed to be a horror movie, right? So there's scenes getting people getting killed. Apparently, they actually cut those out in some of the other countries.
Really?
Look,
back in
I
the day.
thought,
Oh my god.
Yeah.
wow.
I thought
mean,
we were so like
right?
uptight
Soft?
in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't
no,
know.
here we were.
All right,
Yeah.
whatever. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, I read that. I was like,
Anything goes in the CBC.
that, but I
Right?
read that. And it was like that's crazy because it was obviously a fake horror movie. But
wait a minute, didn't they keep the episode of Dawson's Creek where they made a horror movie? Was it a horror movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like
that
one of
was
the.
like 15 years later.
Yeah.
So it was like,
Still.
no, I know.
Saying.
That's what I mean. Like it took the U.S. like 15 years to catch up to Canada.
Just-
That's
shocking
right. No,
to
Dawson's
me.
Creek's soft too. He couldn't. Dawson
Oh,
Creek
yeah.
wouldn't survive. Dawson
Well,
wouldn't
no.
survive Degrassi.
No way.
No, he
He
wouldn't.
got eaten alive.
But okay, so the
With his
Zit,
crying meme.
the James Vanderbeek crying meme.
the Zit Remedy was iconic. They were so bad, but they had so much heart.
They wanted
so
it. Yeah.
much heart.
They wanted it.
Everybody wants
Want
something.
something they'll
Never
never
give
give up.
up.
Sing, Eric, you know it.
Doesn't they say that they'll take
Wait,
your money
how do
and
you
never give
start?
up?
Steve knows it more. You
Oh,
start
geez,
it.
I don't
Or
know.
like
I thought it goes like this. Everybody wants something. They'll take your money.
Well, that was
and never give up.
that was like part of it. Yeah.
Up. They'd be like up, up, up. Would they? I don't know.
I don't know.
They were. I don't know. They did it a few different times. Yeah. But it
Yeah.
was, everybody wants something. They'll
Something.
never give up. Everybody wants something. They'll take your money. Never give up. I know there was.
Yeah.
There was something like the word the Degrassi sensation.
We're the Degrassi
someone,
sensation.
The
That's
Zen
hilarious.
I mean, there was literally
Here,
like
I-
one like bar of the same music over and over again.
Apparently, I read that it was actually the girl, the two ladies that sing the theme song wrote.
Oh, the
Everybody
theme
wants some.
song. That
How
is
we not talk about
I was
this
going to
yet?
say that too because
That theme song is classic.
It
I
is.
could probably know.
It is an amazing theme song. Yeah,
Wake up in the morning.
feeling
Feeling
kind
Kind of
of
lonely.
lonely. Gee, I gotta go to school. Don't think I can make it. Don't think I can take it.
Wondering what I'm gonna do.
I don't know the words.
Oh, it's iconic.
Oh yeah,
I made a new friend.
and come on, give us a try, Degrassi, because it
Give
changed
it
a
a
bit because
try.
it was
Yeah.
Degrassi Junior High, and then
If it was playing, I could sing it.
yeah, it's.
Oh my god, it's iconic. I forgot about
we had
that
some great
song.
themes. When you talked about like Danger Bay had an amazing theme song.
Yeah.
as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
Another one I was heard of the other day on TikTok with the Littlest Hobo.
Oh,
Oh my
gosh.
god, that's classic
Some
Canadian
great
TV.
Canadian theme
Okay.
songs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, so I mean there's a million things we could talk about in Degrassi High and all that stuff, but So that series ended, and then 2 years later, they were like, you know what? There's some loose ends we got to tie up. And oh man, I remember this night when it came on TV. It was a Degrassi movie.
That's right. That was the big
movie.
The big finale.
School's out.
So basically,
like a 2-hour full-on feature.
Yeah.
Want to hear something sad?
What?
I didn't watch it when it first came out. I actually watched it like 2 years ago during the pandemic.
How could you not?
For the first time ever.
You clearly weren't a fan.
I watched Junior High. I kind of fell off during Degrassi High.
That's when it got good.
That's when
Oh, I'm sorry.
too heavy.
So-
Yeah, I couldn't handle the storylines.
Really?
Or my mom called into what the show was about. Was like, you can't watch this.
So really quickly, School's Out was basically the summer of between graduating high school and starting college.
Yeah, it was that. Their
It was
last
that summer.
hurrah. They were
So-
having
They were trying to hang out with their friends. They were getting ready to move to college. They wanted to have one last big party, and they organized it. Yeah, but so this movie definitely primarily revolved. The main storyline was Joey and Caitlin, because they were in a relationship finally.
The classic off
That's
again,
right.
on
Well,
again.
And the big thing was Joey had failed a grade, right? So he was the year. So he wasn't graduating.
So he graduated with Caitlin.
No, she graduated early, right? So they were going away.
Oh, she graduated early,
They were
yes.
going away. Everyone was going to university or college.
Joey's
Yeah.
going to your high school.
So
he had another year to go. So
his whole plan was he wanted to propose to her. He also wanted to have sex. Not maybe I don't think it was his first time, but her first time. He wanted to have sex with her.
That's
so
right.
that was the whole thing where it was like she wasn't ready. She would like be ready, and then she wasn't ready. You know, sort of the turmoil in her brain of if she wanted to do it or
because
not.
she also knew I'm going away, and like,
I'm going to
But-
drop this
are we-
loser.
well,
He's dead weight.
Are we going to
But-
last or what?
Yeah.
Then comes along this character who had been in this series in the past, but she was never a main character.
Tessa Campanelli.
She came along. She started
Campanelli.
flirting with Joey. Joey couldn't keep his hormones in check, and he ends up starting an affair with Tessa Campanelli
That's right.
behind Caitlin's back. All the meanwhile, Caitlin's kind of like, no, I think I'm ready to like have sex with Joey. Like she was like ready.
She's
to make
convinced
this
herself this is the right thing to do.
Yes.
Joey's been stepping out.
So that's like the
Joey.
main story. But again, like it's just, yeah. I mean, we're talking about 17, 18-year-olds and it's the big things, right?
No,
Big
yeah, no,
topics.
that was, yeah.
And so that's sort of the whole summer. Like Caitlin's working, he's working, everybody's working. They all are, a group of people are like, oh, we're all going to meet up at a cabin for a big party for the weekend.
That's right. They went to someone's cottage. Was it Bronco's cottage?
I
I remember there was like a
Or Lucy's cottage?
It was
or
a
something
cottage
like that?
scene.
Yeah.
Lucy and Bronco who hosted it
Yeah.
or whatever. I think at some point, I don't remember the exact details, but Wheels was like down a bad path. I think he was drinking a lot.
Remember he bought that beater car, right? That was his whole thing. It was his ticket to freedom was his car.
I think Joey was bragging to Wheels and Snake because they were like sort of the three BFFs all through. He was bragging to them about how he was sleeping with Tessa Campanelli. Wheels was kind of like whatever. Snake did not like this.
Well, no, Snake was upset. Remember, Snake got a job as a lifeguard because he's going to meet all the chicks.
Yes.
And then that wasn't happening. So he was all like frustrated
Bummed out.
and
He
stuff
was
like
pissed.
that. And,
Snake was in a bad mood.
and he saw that Joey, he had Caitlin, his great girlfriend that he's screwing around with and stuff like that. So he was kind of like,
So
what's wrong with you?
Joey's got 2 girls. I got no girls.
That's important to the storyline because where we get to the like.
This is a whole
part
lot of
it.
spoiler alerts. Have you ever seen School's
Well,
Out?
I mean, look, if you haven't seen
No,
it by
I mean,
now,
it's-
you
yeah.
haven't seen it by
Yeah.
now. So
if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's definitely worth watching.
That's all the background information, right, that you need. So Snake knows about it. Wheels, again, Wheels is kind of like the friend where Joey and Snake have kind of had it with him. Like he's still their friend. They feel bad for him, but he's kind of burned a lot of bridges. He's just sort of like drinking a lot. He's just not really, Anyway, they all go to this cabin. It's the whole cast. You end up seeing them all at the cabin, all the ensemble, characters that were in it, not in it, whatever. Snake's bitter. Snake's mad. I think Snake's having a midlife crisis.
Snake's got problems.
So
he's stressed about going to university, I think. And
So Caitlin's
This
whole,
is hard.
I don't remember. Him and Caitlin never ended up actually having sex, right? I don't think they
don't
did.
think they did.
So
Because she gets no, go ahead.
Tessa Campanelli at some point in time in this has a pregnancy scare.
That's right.
With Joey's baby?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot she does. Yeah.
And okay, like we're kind of making light of it, but again, like these people are 17. This is like real stuff that 17, 18-year-olds go through. Like, can you imagine being 17, 18? Anyway, it's just
heavy stuff.
It's
So they all go to this cabin. They're obviously drinking. You know, we are in Canada, but we do underage drink. We don't promote it, but we do it.
Well, up here, in Canada, here where we live, it's 19. In Quebec, it's 18.
But they were drinking. They were having a good time. Joey and Snake get pissed off at each other because I think Snake's kind of like, what are you doing? Like, blah, 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 bitter. Anyway, Snake ends up yelling out, you fucked Tessa Campanelli. And guess who's right behind Joey?
Caitlin.
No, he's behind Snake.
Whatever the thing is. Oh, yeah, Snake didn't
But that was the whole big thing. That was the first F-bomb on CBC.
And the F-bomb, too. Like, that's a big word.
That's the big word.
And he said it like, oof, there was anger.
With some passion behind it?
Yeah.
Damn.
So that was, I remember it was like,
because he was calling Joey, he was like, you're so great. You think you got all your, you know, and he didn't realize he was behind her. And he's like, you're so, you know, you think you're so smooth and slick, you know, with these two girls and you're fucking Tessa Campanelli.
And I think at this point in time,
like,
Caitlin and Joey were engaged. I remember she had a ring.
So, yeah.
Whoa.
So anyway, so that
Snake
obviously
blew that up.
Well,
big Snake.
I think Joey blew it up. Snake.
Snake
just
that
inadvertently,
that whatever that got destroyed. Anyway, one of the big parts of it is that we talked about quickly was Wheels, who had lost his parents to a drunk driver back in like junior high.
Yep.
They needed more beer, guys. They needed more beer.
Someone's got to get into the beer store.
Who's going to go on the beer run?
So they're kind of like, let's go. Wheels is like, I'll drive, whatever. Wheels showed up. I forgot he was there, but he did show up.
Well, because he had that car, yeah.
Yeah, so they get in Wheels' car. Lucy goes with him. Lucy was a main character through the whole entire series. She gets in the car with him. How did they find out there was an accident? Did somebody drive to find?
I don't know. I can't remember how they find out that
there was an accident. And Wheels gets arrested for drunk driving. Rightfully so.
That's right.
Lucy gets
the story comes full circle for poor Wheels.
Lucy gets super... He actually killed a kid, I think, too.
He did. He killed a child, and Lucy loses her... I don't know if she goes blind, but she definitely, like, her eyes she gets, like, glass in her eyes or something.
So then it kind of fast forwards. Oh, because there's so many characters, so we're bouncing all over. But another main storyline throughout the whole entire series was Simon and Alex. They were like the lovebirds from like grade 7, and then they were getting married at the end of high school.
Yeah.
So the show kind of like the movie ends with the car crash, but then it skips ahead to like October.
That's right, because
everybody's gone to university, but they're all coming back for Simon and Alex's wedding.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's where we kind of see what happens. We learn that Wheels is in jail.
Oh
obviously, for whatever, drunk driving.
Just these kids are like 18 at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 18, 19.
Oh my God, they're like 30-year-olds.
Why?
Getting married?
Well, but that was... So if you watch the series and you know their relationship, like that was sort of the whole thing. Like she... you know Simon.
Well, they were together like the entire...
Since they were like 12, they'd been together. And like...
As they could, they got married.
Because they wanted to have sex, because they were like
religious.
Well, I mean, that's just what they believe. Anyway, yeah, they got married early. It happens.
Yeah,
but yeah, they got married. Yeah, that's right. They got married.
They needed a reason, Eric, for them all to come back. And that's what it was.
Just saying.
No, they got
awfully young.
But that's right. They got to.
So they come back. We learn Wheels is in jail. Snake did go to university.
He comes back with a girlfriend.
Whoa.
Right?
That's
so
right, because remember Joey says, hey, Wheels has been out. Yeah, Joey obviously had gone to visit Snake or Wheels in jail and was said to Snake, you should go see him.
And Snake's like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah, I don't
need anything to do with him.
He killed a kid. I don't have any sympathy for him.
And then Joey and Caitlin are still kaput.
Yeah.
Because again, the whole thing too is Caitlin was debating on staying home from university to be with Joey.
Yeah, going to like a different university.
Yeah,
like
she was going away with Lucy.
Go to University of Toronto or something like that instead of whatever. Yeah.
She made the right choice.
Lucy was supposed to go away to university, but she was, I think at that point she was still in the hospital.
I think so, yeah.
But she had no eyesight at that point in time.
Oh,
she had lost her eyesight. And it kind of was just a nice way to wrap up kind of everybody's storyline, at least.
They did a good, they did do a good job.
The movie was really good.
Wrapping up the entire series like that, yeah.
Remember Caitlin worked at Swiss LA?
That's right, the old Swiss LA where they had them at like you said, the white frilly
oh my God,
on their shoulder,
she
and like kind of like the Swedish looking, like
traditional Swedish clothing. Yeah,
when it was a chalet. No, she worked at Swiss LA, and another character worked at Shoppers Drug Mart.
That's so good.
And it's so fun watching it as a Canadian because it's just
it's just, especially now watching, if I haven't watched it in forever, but I think it's on Prime up here in Canada.
Oh, I rewatched it all recently. Well, like maybe a year ago.
Was it on Prime? I thought I saw it somewhere.
I mean, it's so good. Like you just...
Well, because we just get all the references. Like, I know Shoppers Drug Mart.
Yeah.
I know Socialet.
Well,
Yeah.
for us,
If you're watching
like
American TV, a lot of times they're like, talk about going to stores we don't have.
Well, and it's also different too because this took place in a major city that's like 20 minutes from us.
Yeah.
So we like,
And the same, it's basically for us, it's like a time capsule.
We're the same age. We're a tiny bit younger.
Yeah, so we're close to the same age of these. So it's like watching a time capsule for us.
Yeah.
It's like the era we grew up in, the clothing, the
music,
everything. I mean, obviously on there, they had, like, was it the Gourmet Scum was the band that they all
right?
loved.
But I'm saying, but even like the words and how they spoke.
Yeah, but as I'm saying,
everything.
but for us, it's like a total like snapshot of like our teenage years, childhood, like.
All they need is like a guest appearance from the Tragically Hip, and it's like, boom, that's Canada. There you go.
I'm surprised they never did.
Well, here's a quick fact about The School's Out. Despite the mixed reception, the film drew an estimated 2.3 million viewers.
Wow.
Double that of the average audience that Degrassi High received. The movie did not air in the United States until over 2 years later when it premiered on PBS in 1994.
Well, public broadcasting.
Yeah,
oh man,
was that movie that? I mean, I thought the series was more controversial than the movie.
Yeah, maybe it was just it's weird.
Maybe it's just like there's no demand for it in the States.
I don't know.
Because it was definitely down there. Because I mean, like, I don't know, we didn't really talk, but like, I know it was a big deal because Kevin Smith was like a huge Degrassi fan.
Yeah,
the director. So he actually directed some episodes. I think he was in some of the Next Generation episodes. Him and son Bob came. Yeah, Jason Mewes came up for it.
In one of Kevin Smith's movies, isn't a character wearing a Degrassi jacket?
I think so. Yeah, I think Shannon Doherty was in Mallrats.
Yeah,
but yeah, he would, because I remember him saying like he worked in, where was he, in New Jersey, when he worked in the convenience store before when he was like still writing clerks and stuff. He saw it on like the PBS down there.
Yeah,
no, like
and was like, what is this?
Once you watch it, like you just get into it. Like you just totally get hooked.
It like I said, for the cheesiness of it and stuff like that, but it is a good show.
Yeah.
So then that ended, and then all was quiet on the Degrassi front. Like it was sad. Like
no,
I want to even watching
out, it
now.
Just kind of,
yeah, like 9 years of no Degrassi.
I'm like even now I'm like I just wanted to be on again.
Yeah. No, it just kind of.
So
faded into obscurity.
In 1999, and I remember this, it was a big deal on TV. In 1999, there was a televised reunion of Degrassi Jr High cast that was on the show. This is a whole other story. John-O-Vision.
Oh, I remember John-O-Vision.
John-O-Vision.
So bad.
So anyone who doesn't know, real quick, actually, a lot of people would know Jonathan Torrance from the Trailer Park Boys.
Oh yeah,
as with J-Rock.
Yeah.
But he used to have remember he was on Street Sense?
Yeah.
He
was on a lot of
He was on a bunch of Canadian teen shows, and then he got his own talk show called John-O-Vision.
Do you remember a show called Liberty Street? Was that related to any of this?
No, but it had
Pat Mastroianni in it.
Joey was it wasn't.
I gotcha. Yeah. It wasn't Joey Jeremiah.
No.
But it was Pat Mastroianni.
Yeah, it was just the actor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
So it was on John-O-Vision, and it was so popular.
I remember that reunion.
The reunion became so popular that the live taping drew audience members from as far as San Francisco. People came to see it.
That's a really random. That doesn't seem that far. Like it's not close, but
are you gonna like?
Well, I thought you were gonna say like, I thought you were gonna say Australia or something.
No,
like that.
but I mean for the type like the show it was.
No,
like,
it is far, but it's not.
Oh my god.
No, but you know what I'm saying. I'm not crazy, right? Like I thought you were gonna say like New Zealand or something.
I think that's pretty
traveling
far.
From the exotic land of San Francisco.
No, I'm just saying I think that's pretty far to come for like a John-O-Vision taping.
No, it is, but
like,
but I'm just saying. But
okay, anyway, semantics.
Yeah, I just was saying it is far, but. It just sounds funny.
I remember it was super cool to see because, of course, you're like, what do they all look like now? What do they all look like now?
Yeah.
And it was to hear what they were doing. A lot of them had like, for lack of a better word, regular jobs.
Well, no, I think most of them have gone into
careers and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I know
because I have a bad feeling the actors didn't make a whole lot off the show.
No, they didn't.
No, I don't think so. 'Cause I was reading the Wikipedia. None of them were in the actors union or that. So
oh no,
who knows what they were getting paid?
So Pat Mastroianni and like Stacey Mististon, I can't say that.
She
name.
was
a lot of them have done like acting and stuff, but for the majority, I know I'm sure others have that we just don't know about per se. But no, I mean they came back. A lot of them went to school after this finished. They went to university. They got degrees. They became
went into other
real
fields.
Life. So then there was the success of the reunion inspired Yan Moore and Linda Schuler, now running Epitome Pictures, to develop an interest in creating a new Degrassi series by December 1999. So they originally planned to create an unrelated teen drama titled Ready, Willing, and Wired. Okay. Moore noted that Emma, Spike's daughter, would be entering junior high school by the new millennium, and the show was retooled to center around Emma and her friends attending Degrassi. So if you guys remember, Emma was Spike's baby that she had when she was 14.
Yeah.
In 1987 or 8 or something. Yeah.
So now the central focus is Emma and her group of friends. And so I think Steve mentioned it, but in the Degrassi The Next Generation, we're not going to talk a lot about it because it's it's older or newer, but it was Spike, Snake came back, Joey came back. I said the first episode a bunch of them came back,
but they were like the three,
and then Caitlin was not a main character of the show, but she would pop in every so often. Okay, so one of the interesting things is when the new generation started, again, Emma was sort of the central character. Everything was built around her. They had the same type of storylines. They dealt with eating disorders. They dealt with drugs. They dealt with all that kind of stuff. But it was a lot more censored, tamer than the original. Like I said, in junior high when the high school one when Claude committed suicide, you saw him walk into the bathroom. You saw him with the gun. You saw him at home writing his all the details that went into that. You saw Snake finding him. You saw him on the floor. Everything. Yeah. Whereas, I feel like they would talk about the same thing in the new generation, but they wouldn't show all those details. It was just this person committed suicide. Yeah, I know they definitely covered because they covered school shootings and. No, they did. I'm not saying they didn't, but my point is what they show and how they showed it was a lot different than how they showed it. They
dialed back on the realism.
Yes, they dialed back. That's all I'm saying. They still talked about the same thing.
I didn't watch a lot of it.
So I just rewatched it all.
Didn't one of those. Because, obviously, one
of the students got murdered. And then the whole Drake storyline where he got shot right, and he was paralyzed. And so they did talk about that stuff. My point is how they showed it was a lot more
as graphic,
tamer.
It definitely seemed like it was a much more produced show from what I remember.
Yeah, for sure.
There's obviously more budget there and stuff like that.
There was more budget. And to keep the tie, Snake comes back as the principal of the school that Emma goes to.
Oh man, which would have been a theme song?
The original.
I was gonna say I don't remember the new one, but I can't imagine it would. They should just kept the same one.
Yeah, right.
That'd be hilarious.
So make a hip hop version of some of that.
Another fun fact.
Some record scratches.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you guys this because I can only speak from my experience, but Degrassi was such a ingrained in our culture growing up that we in French class when I was a kid we would watch Degrassi episodes in French.
Really?
Did you guys ever have that?
I wish my French class was that interesting.
No, we would watch, I don't know, what was that?
Téléfrancais. I remember watching that with the talking pineapple.
Yeah, we watched that.
We watched Degrassi Jr High. Well, a couple episodes all in French because they're like, oh, you're going to learn French this way. I'm like,
Here,
really?
we'll just put on the one from the, was it SRC, the CBC French?
I don't know, but isn't that weird that they play that in school? Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a controversial episode. No, it was. It was the episode where Stephanie K, way back in the whatever, and she ends up she calls into that phone thing and then she meets that older guy and he picks her up and she goes to a hotel and he tries to attack her.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. That's the episode we watched back in school. No way would they be allowed to watch that crap in school now.
Oh, man.
I don't think so.
I don't even think they can watch Disney movies in school.
I don't think.
Probably not.
Probably not, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. It was just so a part of
No, it was a Canadian produced show about kids show. So it's it's for kids. It's fine. But it's good though. I think kids need to see this stuff.
That's what I was going to ask.
I think it's great that we had that as growing up because it was covering the topics that I know my parents probably would have been talking about. Maybe they would have. Who knows? But I think it's good that I think it was a really good series to have.
Well, there was just a lot of topics that as a young kid I wouldn't even know to ask about because that was sort of my first look at I didn't know what did Shane, what drug did he do? Acid.
LSD, yeah.
I had no idea what LSD was. I wouldn't even know to ask what LSD was until I watched an episode.
Yeah.
Or what, the
consequences of it and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just crazy. But what do you think?
Sorry, what?
I don't know. Eric's asleep.
I'm asleep. You asked me, what do I think? But,
do you think that it was good that was on TV for us?
Oh, definitely. I definitely think it was, a big educational tool for, the youth of Canada that, even in, I guess, the States as well back then. Like, I definitely think it was good. It was on TV, and that it didn't like, sugarcoat the issues either.
Yeah.
It did its good job of like painting a very realistic picture of like, like you said, AIDS, teen pregnancy, different like substance abuse. I think it was great. It was on TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's iconic.
No, 100%. Yeah.
It'll never be able to be replicated. Like, it's just iconic. Like I said, the Next Generation, it's like, I watched it because, again, I was curious for the first few seasons because the old characters were there. But I mean, I think for the time, it's a good replacement for like what we had at that time because, everybody's a little softer now. They need to be little more head pats than we needed back then. Like I said, our parents just threw us in front of the TV and said, go learn about eating disorders. Go learn about this.
Yeah.
Go learn
I
about
don't
that.
even think my parents probably had no clue what was going on in Degrassi.
Well, my mom used to watch Degrassi too, so she knew what it was. Like,
probably had no clue what was, unless they were on the cover of some sort of newspaper, I guess, or something. My parents probably had no clue what was going on in the world of Degrassi.
My mom used to watch Degrassi High, so she knew it was going on.
She knew it was up. It was a good show. Yeah, it was a good show. It was really good.
I highly recommend anybody out there. And now, if you're Canadian and you're listening and you've never watched any, what is wrong with? Okay, unless you're even if you're young, you could be watching the Next Generation.
Yeah, it was on reruns forever too.
Yeah. And maybe it's on like I don't know if it's the CBC Gem, the app.
No, it was on Much Music reruns forever.
Oh, was it? Okay, yeah.
But you're probably right. It's probably on CBC Gem, like the app as well.
It's also on Prime. That's
definitely it's on Prime.
Oh.
So,
but just watch it, and if you are, American or not Canadian, I should say, or not born in Canada, or whatever, grew up in Canada, then you should definitely try and find it somewhere and watch it.
Yeah, and if you're, any of your friends watching from the States or something, if you guys saw it growing up, let us know what you thought about it.
Yeah, there's just so many.
They're probably like, what's going on up in Canada?
Right? We're crazy.
Heavy stuff up there.
The 80s and 90s are crazy here in Canada.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was a great franchise or great series, and now I just really want to go watch it.
No, it was like I said, it was great because for us, like I said, in terms of especially watching now, I'm sure you get the feels of like just watching that time period, but then all the topics and stuff too. It was good, really good, well done series.
Yeah. Oh, the 80s, what a time.
I know.
So
late
different.
80s, early 90s.
Yeah, such a different time.
All right, guys, but I guess that's
yeah, that was fun.
it.
That was it.
That was a fun review of Degrassi.
It was. I'm going to go watch School's
Now
Out.
I really want to go watch School's Out again. Yeah.
All right, guys, comment below, though, and let us know what you think. And if you are a Degrassi fan, or if you've never even seen it, let us know. We like the discussion.
Yeah, it's always fascinating to hear from everyone else.
To chat with you guys in the comments. But I guess that's it for today's podcast. We thank you so very much for joining us. And Till next time, we'll see you guys.
Have a good one.
Take care, everyone.
Bye,
everyone.
Yeah. Everybody wants something. They'll never give up.
Then the Degrassi sensation, the Zit Remedy. We're totally screwing it up.
Done.
Oh, man.